The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Not peaceful silent. Heavy silent. The kind of silence that pressed against the mind. Thousands of alien leaders sat in perfect circles around a massive floating platform. The chamber itself was enormous, built from dark metal and glowing crystal. Blue light flowed across ancient symbols carved into walls. Above them, a transparent ceiling showed distant stars drifting slowly through space. This was the center of galactic power, and at its heart stood one human, Ambassador Elias Grant. He was tall, wearing a simple black uniform with Earth's silver emblem on his chest. His hands were calmly folded behind his back. His face showed no fear, but inside his heart beat fast. He was alone. Every other species had come with guards. Humans had come with trust. Grant looked around at the aliens watching him. Some were tall and thin with glowing eyes. Others floated without legs. Some looked like living machines, their metal bodies quietly humming. Many stared at him with open dislike. This was humanity's first official appearance before the Galactic Council. Earth had waited many years for this moment. Grant took one slow breath and stepped forward. "Honored members of the Council," he said in clear, steady English, translated instantly into thousands of alien languages. "Humanity comes in peace." Soft whispers moved through the chamber. Grant continued, "We are explorers, builders, survivors. We ask only for mutual respect and safe trade routes. We wish to join this galaxy as equals." A few alien delegates shifted in their seats. Others turned away. Then a towering figure rose from the highest platform, the High Arbiter. Its body looked like an insect mixed with stone. Golden armor covered its tall frame. Its many black eyes reflected the chamber lights. The room grew colder. "Humans," the Arbiter said, its voice echoing to the hall. "You come from a death world." Grant nodded slowly. "Yes, Earth is dangerous, but we learn to live together. That is why we are here." The Arbiter tilted its head. "You evolved through war. You divided yourselves by borders. You burned your own planet's skies." Grant felt the words strike deep. "We made mistakes," he said, "but we learned from them." Low alien voices filled the chamber. The Arbiter raised one clawed hand. Silence returned instantly. "Our records show humanity conquered its own world before seeking the stars," the Arbiter continued. "You are emotional, violent, unstable." Grant clenched his jaw. "We created laws. We built peace systems. We stopped world wars. We protect our civilians." He paused. "We are not monsters." The Arbiter stared at him. Then it spoke words that made Grant's blood run cold. "The Council has reviewed humanity's requests." Grant felt hope rise. "Decision has been reached." He waited. "So quickly?" Grant thought. The Arbiter's voice hardened. "Humanity is classified as a future threat." Grant opened his mouth. Energy weapons powered up around him. Alien guards stepped forward. Grant slowly raised his hands. "Please," he said, "let us talk." The Arbiter did not listen. By authority of the Galactic Council, it announced, "The human envoy is sentenced to immediate execution." Grant froze. For a single second, his mind went blank, then training took over. He lowered his hands, straightened his back. He did not beg. He did not scream. He tapped a small device hidden inside his sleeve. A silent signal left his wrist, traveling faster than light, straight to Earth. Grant looked up at the Arbiter. "You are making a mistake." The Arbiter showed no emotion. Weapons glowed brighter. Grant thought of Earth, of blue oceans, of children playing under sunlight, of cities that never slept. He thought of the people who trusted him. He whispered one word: protocol. White light filled the chamber. The human envoy was gone. No body remained. Only smoke. The silence returned. Some alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others nodded with approval. The Arbiter sat back down. "Threat removed," it declared, but far away, across deep space, Earth received the signal. In underground command centers, red lights activated. Hidden satellites changed position. Artificial intelligence systems awakened from decades-long sleep. On screens across military bases, one classified file unlocked. Extinction protocol. Status: active. President Marachin stood in a dark room, watching the final seconds of Grant's transmission. She said nothing. Around her, generals waited. Finally, she spoke. He followed procedure. A comm machine voice replied. Confirmed. Ambassador Grant initiated Phase 1. Chin closed her eyes, then opened them again. Proceed to Phase 2. Across the solar system, massive hangar doors opened. Black warships powered up. Lunar defense cannons rotated. Mars orbital platforms activated targeting arrays. Humanity had not come seeking war, but they had prepared for it. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council celebrated. They believed they had crushed a weak species. They believed humans were small. They believed Earth would stay silent. They did not know they had just awakened something far more dangerous than any death world. They had awakened humanity. The message reached Earth in exactly 4 seconds. It arrived as a silent data burst, hidden inside normal diplomatic channels. No alarm sounded at first. No public screens changed. Only deep beneath the surface of the planet did the signal awaken systems that had been sleeping for decades. In Geneva, inside a reinforced command hall, dozens of officers froze as red warning symbols appeared across their displays. Extinction protocol. Phase 1 complete. General Marcus Hale stood slowly from his chair. So it happened, he whispered. Nearby, analysts pulled up the recorded feed. Ambassador Elias Grant stood tall in the Galactic Council chamber. His final words played without sound. Protocol. Then white light. No body. No mercy. The room filled with quiet anger. On another continent, President Marachin watched the same footage in a dark briefing room. Her hands were folded tightly on the table. She had chosen Grant personally for this mission. He had been calm, strong, smart. He had trusted the galaxy. She replayed the moment again. And again, her advisor spoke carefully. They executed him without trial. Chin nodded. Yes. She looked up at the large holographic map of the solar system floating above the table. We warned them, she said softly. We told them Earth does not abandon its people. She pressed a small panel on her desk. A deep tone echoed through hidden bunkers around the world. Phase 2 authorization accepted. Across Earth, thousands of SEAL facilities opened. In deserts, forests, oceans, and mountains, ancient hangars powered on. Massive doors slid apart, revealing black warships shaped like arrows and spears. Their hulls absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Humanity's shadow fleet. On the moon, long dormant rail cannons rotated toward open space. Around Mars, defense rings activated, linking together in glowing red patterns. Deep under the Atlantic, submarine carriers rose silently toward the surface. No cheering, no speeches, just motion. General Hale entered the war command circle. Officers took their positions. Tactical AIs began calculating millions of combat paths every second. Status report. Hale ordered Fleet Groups Alpha through Delta fully operational. Cyber units online. Marine Division standing by. Orbital weapons armed. A young officer hesitated. Sir, do we really want to escalate this fast? Hale looked at him. They killed our diplomat. The officer swallowed and said nothing more. In orbit above Earth, the first strike fleet gathered. Thousands of ships moved into tight formation, engines glowing faint blue. Each vessel carried soldiers, drones, and weapons designed for alien environments. Humanity had prepared for a first contact to fail. They just hoped it wouldn't. President Chin entered the command room. Everyone stood. She raised one hand. Sit! She studied the galaxy map. Any response from the council? An AI voice answered. No reply detected. Chin nodded. They think we're afraid. She turned to Hale. Begin Phase 3. The room went silent. Phase 3 meant deployment. Phase 3 meant war. Across deep space, faster than light gates opened. Human fleets vanished from Earth orbit in silent flashes. They reappeared far beyond council borders, spreading outward like a dark tide. At the same time, Earth launched information probes. These tiny machines hacked alien networks and sent messages across hundreds of systems. One simple sentence. You killed our envoy. Now face humanity. Back on the Galactic Council capital world, celebrations were still happening. Delegates congratulated each other. The High Arbiter addressed its followers. The Death World species has been removed. Some aliens raised their limbs in approval. Others remained uneasy. A junior censor officer suddenly rushed into the command chamber. High Arbiter, it said nervously. Multiple unknown fleets detected at our outer borders. The Arbiter waved dismissively. Primitive vessels. The officer hesitated. They're not primitive. Moments later, border stations went dark. Communication relays stopped responding. Defense satellites vanished from radar. The Arbiter stood. What is happening? Human electronic warfare units flooded alien systems with false signals. Navigation grids failed. Command networks collapsed. Then the first human strike teams arrived. They did not bomb cities. They targeted shipyards. They disabled power cores. They captured command centers with surgical precision. Alien soldiers fired wildly. Human Marines advanced calmly, shielded, coordinated, silent. In one captured station, an alien commander stared in shock as humans walked through plasma fire. How? It whispered. A Marine replied simply, We train for worse. Back on Earth, President Chin watched live feeds from dozens of systems. She saw human medics treating wounded aliens. She saw engineers stabilizing damaged habitats. She saw Marines escorting prisoners without cruelty. Humanity was not seeking revenge. They were enforcing consequences. Chin closed her eyes for a moment. Grant, she whispered, we kept our promise. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Species that once ignored humans now begged for talks. Military leaders who once laughed now surrendered. And deep inside the shattered council chamber, the High Arbiter finally understood. They had not executed a weak envoy. They had activated a sleeping giant. And humanity had begun to move. The galaxy did not understand what was happening. Not at first. Human fleets moved faster than alien sensors could track. They appeared near major council systems, completed their objectives, then vanished before organized resistance could form. Whole defense grids went offline in minutes. Alien admirals shouted orders that never reached their ships. Command AIs crashed. Navigation beacons failed. Everywhere confusion ruled. On the council capital world, emergency sirens finally began to scream. Red light flooded government towers. Delegates rushed through floating corridors, shouting in dozens of languages. The High Arbiter stood inside the central command hall, staring at a massive hologram of surrounding star systems. More and more were turning red. Explain, the Arbiter demanded. A trembling technician replied. They are disabling our fleets without destroying them. They're taking control of our infrastructure. The Arbiter slammed one clawed limb against the floor. Send reinforcements. The technician hesitated. Our reinforcement routes are blocked. The Arbiter's many eyes widened. How? The answer came from another officer. They predicted our response patterns. Human tactical AIs had studied alien doctrine for years. They knew how Council forces thought, where they would retreat, where they would regroup. Every move the Council made had already been simulated thousands of times. Human strike groups waited at those exact locations. In one border system, an alien battle fleet attempted to form a defensive wall. Before they could finish, human drones slipped through their shields and shut down their engines. Marine boarding teams followed. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Reyes moved through smoke-filled corridors. Her squad advanced quietly, weapons ready. An alien officer tried to block their path. Reyes raised one hand. Stand down. The officer fired. Reyes didn't flinch. Her armor absorbed the blast. 2 Marines disarmed the alien in seconds. Reyes looked down at the shaking creature. This didn't have to happen. She ordered medical aid for the injured, then continued forward. Across dozens of systems, similar scenes played out. Human forces did not shout. They did not celebrate. They executed their missions with cold discipline. Destroy military capability. Secure command nodes. Protect civilians. Meanwhile, Earth broadcasted another message across captured networks. We seek accountability, not extermination. surrender military control, and this ends. Some species complied immediately. Others tried to fight. Those who resisted lost their fleets within hours. Back on Earth, General Hale monitored the campaign. Human casualties were low. Alien casualties were lower. The real damage was psychological. The galaxy had never faced a species that fought this way. Humans did not attack blindly. They removed options. They cut supply lines. They isolated leaders. They left their enemies alive but powerless. President Chin joined Hale in the command center. The arbiter still hasn't surrendered, Hale said. Chin nodded. They won't. Pride. At that moment, a new signal appeared. The arbiter's personal transport ship had launched. They're trying to escape, Hale said. Chin folded her arms. Let them run. Hale looked surprised. Chin continued. Track them. Don't stop them. The arbiter's ship fled toward a neutral system. Human vessels followed at a distance, not attacking, waiting. The arbiter believed it had escaped. It believed it could rally remaining forces. It was wrong. In the neutral system, dozens of human ships uncloaked around the fleeing transport. Perfect formation. The arbiter's pilot tried to jump again. Human jammers activated. No escape. A human frigate moved forward and locked docking clamps onto the arbiter's vessel. Inside, panic spread. Human Marines boarded calmly. They reached the command chamber in less than 3 minutes. The arbiter stood tall, tried to appear strong. Commander Reyes stepped forward. You ordered the execution of our envoy. The arbiter lifted its chin. He was a threat. Reyes shook her head slowly. He was a diplomat. She activated a hologram. Ambassador Grant appeared, speaking peacefully to the council. Then his execution replayed. The arbiter turned away. You misunderstand galactic politics, it said. Reyes leaned closer. No, you misunderstand humanity. She signaled her team. The arbiter was placed in restraints. Not violently. Firmly. Back on the council capital world, resistance collapsed. Remaining fleets surrendered. Alien leaders requested emergency talks. President Chin addressed the galaxy. Her image appeared on thousands of screens. You killed one of ours, she said calmly. We responded. She paused. This operation will end when every hostile military system is disabled and those responsible face trial. She looked directly into the camera. We are not conquerors, but we will not be victims. Silence followed. Then, one by one, alien governments accepted Earth's terms. Across the stars, white surrender beacons lit up. Humanity had done what no species had ever done before. They dismantled a galactic empire in weeks, not with rage, with planning, with unity, with purpose. Back on Earth, memorial lights glowed for Elias Grant. His name spread across alien worlds, not as an enemy. As the moment, everything changed. And the galaxy finally understood, humans do not seek war, but when forced, they end it. The galaxy expected destruction, planets burning, civilizations erased. That was how wars usually ended. But humanity did something different. They stopped. Human fleets held their positions above surrendered worlds. Weapons stayed armed, but no new attacks came. Marines guarded command centers. Engineers repaired damaged power systems. Medical teams treated wounded aliens beside wounded humans. This confused everyone. Many alien leaders had prepared themselves for extinction. Instead, they were offered stability. On the council capital world, emergency shelters slowly opened. Civilians stepped outside, expecting to see fire in the sky. They saw human ships instead, silent, watching, protecting orbital lanes. In the central government complex, capture officials were escorted into a large chamber. They were not dragged. They were not beaten. They were given seats, water, medical scans, translation devices. The High Arbiter sat among them, bound but unharmed. It watched everything with disbelief. A human delegation entered the room. At the front walked President Mara Chun. She looked tired, but steady. She stopped in front of the Arbiter. You executed Ambassador Elias Grant, she said. The Arbiter said nothing. Chun continued. You believed humanity would respond with chaos. Still silence. Chen activated a hologram. Documents appeared in the air. Charts, flow maps, strategic diagrams. This, Chen said, is Extinction Protocol. The alien leaders leaned forward. It is not genocide, Chen explained. It is containment. She pointed to glowing nodes across the star map. We target military power first. Shipyards, command networks, defense AIs, communication hubs. She moved her hand. Then we isolate leadership. Another gesture. We protect civilian populations. Always. The arbiter finally spoke. You prepared this long before meeting us. Chen nodded. Yes. Why? Because space is dangerous, Chen replied, and because we know our own history. She paused. Humans learned long ago that peace without strength is just hope. The arbiter looked away. One alien delegate whispered, You dismantled our empire without destroying our people. Chen looked at them. That was intentional. She turned back to the arbiter. You could have had cooperation. The arbiter's voice was low. You are Deathworlders. Chen nodded again. Yes. Her eyes hardened. And you forgot what that means. Outside, human engineering teams restored power grids. Children on alien worlds watch human drones repair broken bridges. Hospitals received supply drops. News spread fast. Humans were not killing civilians. They were rebuilding. Fear began to change into confusion, then into something else. Respect. On Earth, broadcasts showed Marines helping alien refugees. Doctors treated species they had never seen before. Engineers worked side by side with former enemies. Humanity had not come to rule. They had come to correct. General Hale briefed the Global Council. Military resistance has dropped to under 5%. President Chen nodded. Begin Phase 4. Phase 4 was restoration. Human construction ships moved into damaged systems. Emergency shelters were built. Food replicators were deployed. Aliens who had once voted for Grant's death now depended on human aid. The High Arbiter was transported to Earth for trial, not executed. Tried. The galaxy watched. In a massive orbital courtroom, the Arbiter faced human judges and alien observers. Evidence was presented. Records replayed. Grant's execution was shown again. The Arbiter attempted to defend itself. We acted to protect the galaxy. A human prosecutor replied calmly, You acted out of fear. The Arbiter had no answer. The verdict was delivered. Guilty of unlawful execution. Guilty of abuse of authority. Guilty of crimes against sentient life. The sentence was imprisonment. Permanent. No torture. No spectacle. Just removal from power. Across alien systems, former council members resigned or were arrested by their own people. Humanity had shown them another way, a way without terror. President Chen addressed the galaxy once more. This conflict ends today. Her voice carried through thousands of worlds. Humanity will help rebuild what was broken, but the old council system is finished. She paused. A new interstellar charter will be created. One based on equal rights, fair trials, and shared responsibility. Alien governments agreed. They had no choice. But many also felt relief. The old council had ruled through fear for generations. Now something different was forming. Back in the rebuilt council chamber, workers removed ancient execution platforms. Human architects redesigned the space. Open floors, clear light, no hidden weapon mounts. At the center, a simple statue was placed. Elias Grant, standing calmly, hands behind his back, facing the stars. Below it were engraved simple human words. He came in peace. Across the galaxy, those words spread. Humans had lost one life, but gained something larger, trust, and the universe finally understood. Extinction Protocol was never about destroying civilizations. It was about making sure no one ever thought killing a human diplomat was acceptable again. Humanity had drawn a line, quietly, firmly, and the stars listened. The war was over, but the work had just begun. Across dozens of star systems, human fleets remained in orbit, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Weapons were lowered, but not shut down. Marines stood watch beside alien security forces. Human engineers repaired space stations that had not seen maintenance in decades. Civilian ships moved freely again. Trade routes reopened. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy breathed without fear. On Earth, President Marachin addressed the Global Council. Our objective was never domination, she said. It was accountability. She stood beneath a hologram of the stars. The old Galactic Council ruled through intimidation. That ends now. Human diplomats traveled to alien capitals. They did not arrive with threats. They arrived with contracts, medical teams, and rebuilding plans. Some alien leaders resisted at first, but their people did not. They had seen humans protect their cities. They had watched Marines shield alien children during evacuations. They had felt human food deliveries during shortages. Slowly, trust replaced terror. In one devastated system, a human medical ship treated thousands of wounded aliens. Doctors worked without rest. Volunteers translated languages on the fly. An alien elder watched quietly. You lost one of your own, it said to a human nurse. Yet you help us. The nurse smiled tiredly. That's what he would have wanted. Back in the former council capital, construction crews transformed a massive chamber where Elias Grant had been executed. Dark metal walls were replaced with lighter alloys. Execution platforms were removed. Open gardens were added beneath artificial skylights. Human architects insisted on transparency. No hidden corners. No secret weapon ports. At the center of the chamber, Grant's statue remained, not raised high, just standing among everyone else. The new interstellar assembly gathered for the first time. Every species had one vote. No exceptions. President Chen opened the session. We will not build another empire, she said. We will build a community. Alien representatives spoke. Some were nervous. Some were hopeful. Some still feared humanity's strength. Chen addressed that directly. Yes, she said. Humans are dangerous. She paused. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. Earth taught us survival. She looked around the chamber. But survival also taught us compassion. The assembly voted. The new charter passed. Fair trials. Civilian protections. Shared defense. No executions without unanimous agreement. No death world discrimination. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had not taken a throne. They had removed it. Instead, they became something else. Anchors. Back on Earth, General Hale walked through Arlington Memorial. New names were being added. Not many, but every one mattered. He stopped before a single stone. Elias Grant. He stood in silence. You did your job, Hale whispered. Across alien worlds, Grant's story became legend. Not because he fought, because he stood alone, because he spoke peace, because he refused to kneel. Alien schools taught human history. Children learned about Earth's oceans, about ancient wars, about how humans once nearly destroyed themselves, and how they chose unity instead. One alien student asked the teacher, "Why didn't humans destroy us?" The teacher answered, "Because they already learned that lesson on their own planet." Human fleets slowly withdrew. They left behind defense systems controlled by joint councils. They trained alien security forces. They shared medical technology. Humanity did not rule the galaxy. They stabilized it. The High Arbiter remained imprisoned on a quiet asteroid facility. It spent its days staring at stars it no longer controlled. Sometimes it replayed Grant's final moments. Sometimes it wondered what would have happened if it had chosen differently. President Chen visited once. She stood behind the containment field. You could have had peace, she said. The Arbiter did not reply. Chen turned and left. The galaxy moved forward. New trade alliances formed. Exploration missions launched. Human and alien crews traveled together. Mixed species colonies began forming on frontier worlds. For the first time in history, Death Worlders and Soft World species built cities side by side. At the rebuilt council chamber, ambassadors gathered beneath Grant's statue. A plaque beneath it read, "He came in peace." Humanity answered in strength. Visitors stopped to read it. Some bowed. Some placed flowers. Some simply stood quietly. Humanity had become a symbol, not of fear, of balance. They showed the stars something rare: power with restraint, strength with mercy. And across the galaxy, one truth spread faster than any ship. Humans do not seek control, but when they step forward, everything changes. Years passed, not many, but enough for the galaxy to feel different. Trade lanes that once carried warships now carried families and explorers. Alien markets sold human food. Human children learned alien songs in school. The scars of conflict slowly faded, but the memory of it did not. On Earth, Elias Grant's name became part of history. Streets were renamed. Schools taught his story. A new diplomatic academy carried his name, not because he was a warrior, because he stood unarmed before a hostile galaxy and refused to bend. Every year, on the day of his death, lights were turned off across Earth for 1 minute. Cities went silent. Ships in orbit paused their engines. Humanity remembered. In the rebuilt Interstellar Assembly, a young alien ambassador took the floor. She had soft blue skin and bright silver eyes. "My people once voted to approve the execution of the human envoy," she said. Her voice trembled. "We believed we were protecting ourselves." She looked at Grant's statue. "We were wrong." The chamber stayed quiet. "We asked forgiveness," she finished. No one laughed. President Marachin stood slowly. "Forgiveness begins with accountability," she said, "and continues with action." The alien ambassador bowed deeply. That moment was broadcast to thousands of worlds. It became a symbol. Human generals slowly returned home. Shipyards turned back to exploration vessels. Weapons factories shifted to building habitat modules. Human engineers helped terraform barren moons. Alien scientists joined Earth research teams. The galaxy became shared territory, not divided space. Commander Reyes retired from frontline duty. She trained mixed-species peacekeeping units instead. Humans, reptilians, avians, and silicon-based beings learned to work together. She told them the same lesson every class. We fight so others don't have to. On a quiet colony world, children played under twin suns. Some had fur, some had scales, some had human faces. They chased flying drones and laughed in many languages. Their parents watched. None of them remembered the old council. They only knew this galaxy, one built on cooperation. The High Arbiter died alone. No ceremony, no audience, just silence. Its final thoughts were the moment it chose execution over conversation. History would remember it as the leader who broke the galaxy and the species that fixed it. President Chen completed her final term and stepped down. She refused statues. "Grant already has one," she said. Instead, she returned to teaching young diplomats. She taught them patience. She taught them strength. Most of all, she taught them when to walk away and when to stand firm. On the anniversary of first contact, delegations from hundreds of species gathered in the central chamber. Grant's statue remained unchanged. Simple, human, facing outward. A young human cadet asked an alien elder, "Was it really that bad before?" The elder nodded slowly. "Yes." "What changed everything?" The cadet looked at the statue. "That," the elder replied. The cadet studied it. He didn't even fight. The elder smiled softly. No, he trusted. The galaxy expanded. New stars were mapped. New civilizations contacted. Humanity led exploration fleets, but never alone. Every mission carried mixed crews. Every discovery was shared. Earth became known as the anchor world, the place where disputes were settled, where treaties were signed, where enemies became partners. Once, a new species asked in their first diplomatic message, "What happens if we harm a human?" The response was simple: "Don't." Humanity never threatened again. They didn't need to. Their history spoke for itself. Grant's story was taught in every language. He had walked into power unarmed. He had died with dignity. And his people had answered not with rage, but with unity. They did not burn the galaxy. They rebuilt it. And across countless stars, one lesson remained clear. Humans may come from a death world. They may be capable of terrible force. But when tested, they choose responsibility. They choose restraint. They choose to protect what they touch. Elias Grant came as one man. He left as a turning point. And because of him, the galaxy learned something it would never forget. Humanity's first contact was not a warning. It was a promise.